What's up? Episode 33 of Hit Me Again. Your dynamic duo, Seth Topal, Colton Molesky, holding it down with you. And
can we just address that there is nothing that slaps quite like piano music in a hip-hop song? Just piano keys to intro, especially on the intro of a hip-hop song. Fantastic.
Well, we'll spiff it up a little bit more now that I can officially announce that Hit Me Again has been added to the Mini Ice Podcast Network. So
glad to be here. It seems like we got some pretty good response from the crossover pod, the Mini Ice Hit Me Again crossover pod last week. Had a good podcast going into the playoff football, had some winning bets, hit both of our rollover bets. And so we were rolling over some money lines again this weekend. Good stuff. I love me some playoff football. Ohio State doesn't like playoff football, but
no, I think Devontae Smith just scored again. Like he just ran right past me.
It's okay. Don't feel bad, because if he ran right past you, you might be a scholarship player for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ooh.
You might be on scholarship for the Buckeyes if Devontae Smith is running past you.
Lord. Wow. That was rest in peace.
We don't need to spend too much time on this game.
No.
I think that here are my two big thoughts going away from this game is that this team was amazing. We have said so many times how there's been all these stories about how the senior class, and there's like 17 seniors on this Alabama team. They were selling out for this year, trying to convince everybody not to go out, selling out to win this year was really important. All these guys, all these NFL talents like Smith, like Harris, who could have gone pro and stayed. There was like two guys on the offensive line who could have gone pro last year, stayed, came back, won the title. That's awesome. Second thing is that I cannot remember off the top of my head, because Wade, the cornerback who was on Devontae Smith for most of that first half, he played really good cornerback. What's left of him? He played really well in the
Devontae Smith.
He covered him, as we all kind of covered him that game.
Played defense.
It's kind of like when a quarterback throws and to avoid the flag, they're like, that guy, he was 15 yards within the pass. That he was in the area, so that counts as a pass to him. Wade was in the area of Devontae, so it counts as coverage. He was within 20 yards. Seriously, though, it'll be interesting. I wonder if there is one game that will drop. This happens a lot in the NBA with March Madness, usually bumping stock up. But is there a player in the college football realm that has dropped their stock so significantly with one game? Now, again, the draft hasn't happened. He was projected to be a first-round pick, not like in the top 15 or anything.
Right.
Like Okuda last year. But he was, I believe, at least on a couple of draft boards I looked at, projected to be a late first-round pick. It'll be interesting to see if this game has a drastic impact on his draft stock, because that was a tough performance.
Well, and when you call out before the game that you
know who I want to be on. No, you don't. No, you don't.
I'm sure somebody did it. I don't recall seeing, but somebody should have taken that quote and then just showed an empty field after. Like, you know who I
want. It's just like a bus pass. I want to go home.
Just show the back of his jersey. Yeah, that's a great point, because like I feel like in other spots, like let's say you're a star like D lineman and your team gets just torched. That's not something that necessarily is as much your fault, but when
like you can still have some quarterback pressures, maybe like half a sack, and it goes, well, the defense wasn't that great. They were running away from him a lot on their like running plays, their sweeps. They're trying to get the ball away from him, so you can kind of justify it. That was just head-on, blatant disregard for human life by Devontae Smith, and it'll be interesting to see if his draft. Now, to be fair to him, it is. I know that their cornerback depth, and their secondary depth in general was not great going into this game. Egregious that they stayed in a 4-3. Egregious that they didn't run out at least like a nickel or dime kind of coverage package, try and get some more defensive. There's so many times where you'll see a first quarter like that, and then they'll throw out like 6 DBs to try and shake up the coverage, at least make it hard for like Mac Jones to read the coverages. Because all of those were just pitch and catches for the most part to Smith. And again, he had some fantastic catches. That sideline grab where he's dragging the foot, that's an NFL grab. That said, there was a lot where he was just open. There's a ton of stuff where he would just do that in out behind the line of scrimmage, and there'd be nothing but open field. They were so concerned with getting beat deep that they were letting up 12-yard plays in front of them. And it's like, okay, let stuff happen in front of you, but maybe not let everything happen in front of you.
Like if you're Ryan Day, do you not just go up to your D coordinator and just like point to the field and say like, "Do you mind?" Like
a change, please. We're spending too much time on this. This was a blowout, but we kind of knew since like week 6 Alabama was probably going to win this thing for a variety of reasons. But it's the result we pretty much expected. So let's not spend too much time on this. Great NFL weekend. Fire NFL matchups going into this game. I am slightly disappointed that we got robbed of Ravens Chiefs for a second year, although I'm happy for the Browns fans. We were spot on with the Steelers. We were just a little bit late, because we thought this would be a bad game by the Steelers anyways, and they would just eke it out because the coaching staff was diminished for the Browns. Turns out it was a terrible game, and don't tell me that Big Ben had 500 yards. Those are garbage time yards. Come on. Disgusting. Disgusting performance. So we've got the Browns, playing the Chiefs, Bills, Ravens. I mean, thoughts? I thought the Ravens defense looked really good. I know Lamar Jackson was the headline, but their defense was awesome.
I saw a lot on Twitter in regards to the Pittsburgh Steelers that they may have the book on this Pittsburgh team because they don't really adjust a lot. They hit you with pretty much exactly what you would expect. I mean, if it's not Mike Tomlin, you should be fired immediately for punting from an opponent's 38-yard line.
Yeah, that happened a couple of times.
Any point
too, or over the weekend. I mean, you had the Titans doing that too. When the Saints did it, it was pretty early in that game. But there was a lot of weird punts where it's just this team is showing their cards already, and they're not great cards. So just like go for it. I don't know. There were some weird coaching performances over the NFL weekend. The big thing for me that stood out was obviously the Steelers just punting for the entire first quarter, in the first half really. It just giving up that whole first half. And the fact that and again, the headline out of that game was how good Lamar Jackson was. And he was really good. But the other thing is Henry destroyed that team, not only last year in the playoffs, but again last year in week 11? Yes. Destroyed that team. So to hold them to like 40 yards on, I think it was 19 carries, 20 carries, something like that. Incredible performance. And you think about how different that defensive front looked. I know that they had some injuries, but to game plan for him is so hard. And so to do that and to be able to pull it off and then to still keep your back end protected, that was an incredible defensive performance by the Ravens. And now I'm in a situation too. I'm in the unique situation where we rolled over again. The money lines were not big. As you had to give up a lot. The juice, you had to pay for a lot of juice on those money lines. The Saints were minus 600. The Bills were minus 290. But put 4 units on each of those. Got a little bit of scratch back. Some nice scratch, especially on the Bills. But now I don't know if I want to roll it over on the Saints and the Ravens, the Bills, because the Ravens defense kind of scared. Josh Allen is a different animal than Tannehill, but the Ravens defense scares me. And then on the other side, the record for a team that is playing an opponent for the third time that season and has swept the team thus far, not great. Not great to try and go for the 3-0 sweep. So let's try and work our way through this. And Seth, I'm going to go to you again. I'm going to go to the P scale again for you. So let's from just a dance to just drenched shorts. If you're the Rams against the Packers, what's the P scale?
Can't stop.
Really? I kind of like this matchup for the Rams.
No, this is honestly, if I'm the Rams, it's maybe a dribble.
Because here's the deal. I know that the Packers are really good at home, but Ramsey has been awesome against really great receivers again and again and again this year. Hopkins, Evans, Robinson, DK Metcalf 3 times. If he locks up Adams, and again, Adams is a different beast than Metcalf. He's a way better route runner. But if he locks up Adams, do you trust? And again, I know the problems with Goff, but and the whole thing is right. This hinges on Aaron Donald's health. But if Aaron Donald is at 80% and Jalen Ramsey locks up Adams, do you think that Green Bay can win with Scantling and Lazard?
Well, let's look at this too, is what has been one of the big things that has neutralized the Packers this year, a running game. And the Rams have that. So they can, so that
not enough was talked about in regards to Cam Akers after that game either. 138 yards for a rookie?
He spanked the Seahawks, which, by the way, interesting thing that Pete Carroll basically tanked Russell Wilson halfway through the season because of 2 bad games. I don't know if you saw kind of how that whole thing played out, but that is fascinating.
It's also very strange that their passing game got worse as they started to get running back health.
Pete Carroll got involved. Brian Schottenheimer got fired, and
very strange. Very strange.
But anyway, back to it. The Rams have a legitimate running game. This will be one of the best defensive fronts that the Packers will have played all season.
Deep defensive front, even if Donald's not at 100%. Deep defensive front.
And no David Bakhtiari.
Yep, that's also true.
Cannot overlook that.
Yeah, because that's an all-pro right there this year again.
I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay wins, but this, to me, is not going to be anything more than a field goal game.
The plus 6.5 I like a lot. The plus 6.5 I like a lot, especially because it is supposed to be, at least in this area, I'm not sure if it's going to move north, but it's supposed to be freezing rain for the next 2 days here in Wisconsin. So the conditions could be less than optimal.
Slightly less.
All right. So Ravens coming off that really awesome game, plus 2.5. P scale for the Bills.
Yeah,
are you dry? Are you dry over there? Is it dry shorts, all confidence?
No. Because of the teams remaining in the AFC side of the playoffs, the Bills have the leakiest defense, in particular against the run.
Struggle to run outside of Josh Allen, which I don't particularly like. And I like the run. I like Zach Moss, who got banged up a little bit. I like Singletary, but they don't run particularly well outside of Josh Allen. And their defense is sporadic. Their defense really picks its spots in some of these games.
Picks its spots.
I don't know. Because again, it's like their defense will play for like a quarter just awesome. But let's not forget about the lead they just led up to the Colts in that first half.
Yeah, it's going to come down to if Lamar Jackson, I think, gets flustered early. If he can pull Buffalo back into coverage by hitting a couple of passes, then that'll open up lanes for him to run. And then at that point, if you're Buffalo's defense, if you're Leslie Frazier, you then after the game end up saying, well, we're going to have to make some adjustments and look at the tape. He said that after every Vikings loss when he was a head coach is we're going to have to look at the tape. It's like, how can you not see what's happening?
Well, I mean, to be fair, he's going to look at he's not wrong. He's going to look at the tape. That's kind of a given. So he wasn't lying to you. Does that help?
At the tape. I got to stop doing that.
He's gonna look at the tape. He's gonna look at the tape is what it comes down to. I'm trying to find. I saw it somewhere, but I can't remember the number. But smashing Lamar Jackson's over on rushing yards doesn't seem to be a bad move here. Me personally, I'm going to buy a point here because it's minus 105 on the plus 2.5. It's only minus 160 if you buy an extra point to get that to plus 3.5 on the Ravens, which honestly feels kind of like the play. This feels like it will be another field goal game.
Yeah, I would agree.
So that's what I'm thinking on this one. All right. Next game. Browns Chiefs. Now, first of all, who's the more nervous team? Are you thinking it's not as the coach, you're thinking as the gambler? Because the Chiefs are minus 10. It's a lot of points in the playoffs.
Oh, jeez.
I get it's the Chiefs. I get it's Patrick Mahomes, and they've had a week to look at this. But that's a lot of points in the playoffs. Let's go P scale for Browns. They've got to be just soaked drawers.
Yeah, because
the only reason I'm doing this, by the way, is so I can lurk in every once in a while. Are you dry, Seth?
Oh my God. You have
Molesky like a sheet.
You have to be at that stage where like you've been trying to find the bathroom and like all of a sudden it's like I can't hold it any longer, and so you start going, and that moment of panic where you're like you're looking around, you're like I got to find something here. That I think is where the Browns are at right now, because yes, like look at how Kansas City looked to finish the season. They didn't exactly light it up.
Here's what I'm doing on this game. We've done a little bit different stuff. I don't know if I have rollover best is going to be tough. I know I've said that before. Rollover best is going to be tough this week. Here's what I'm doing. I'm taking the over 57 because I'm getting the vibes. I'm getting a little bit of the 2017 Vikings vibes from this team, the Browns team, where they had a solid season. They have a really big playoff win. Now I get it was a last-second touchdown for the Vikings. The Browns blew out the Steelers, but that's a rival, and it's their first playoff win in a couple decades.
Right?
Or because it was 18 years since they won. When the last time they made it to the playoffs, did they win a playoff game?
No.
Okay, so then
they were 1 and done.
Over 2 decades since they won a playoff game.
Correct.
It was a little bit like they're celebrating like they won the title, and it was the first round. And so it feels like they're going to be a little bit of a come down from that energy this week. But the Chiefs' defense has been shaky as well. They have not been locking down teams, especially if you're the Browns and you run the ball. I like their front against the Chiefs' defensive front seven. So I think there will be some points scored here. I feel like it's going to be one of those like 38-24 type games. In that case, you're hitting the over easily. It's at 57 points right now. So I'm taking the over.
I have it 51-40 Chiefs.
Either way,
it's going to be a lot of points. But yeah, I don't know. I think even having considered the fact that the Chiefs didn't exactly, like I said, light it up the last few weeks of the season, it's still the Chiefs. They won the Super Bowl this last year, so it's not like they just like forgot how to do everything.
There are two types of title teams. There are the teams that after they win the title, they have a weird season where they flip the on switch. They have an on switch, but they don't always flip it on. But when they flip it, it actually turns on. The lights come on. And with Patrick Mahomes, when you flip that switch, it's going to always come on. And then there are the teams that they try and flip that on-off switch, and it just never comes on. The Celtics, the year after they won the title, if that was one of those teams where it never really came all the way on when they would flip it off after they won the title. This Chiefs team feels more like the Warriors teams that could flip it on whenever they wanted, you know?
Yeah, the switch doesn't come on because you haven't paid the bill in 3 months.
For them, they're able to flip it on. I'm not going to worry about them. I'm taking the over just because it feels like a lot of points. I don't want a backdoor cover situation where they win by like 9 points, and I'm just so upset. All right. Here's the final game of the weekend. Bucks Saints. What is the P? The Saints are -3. What's the P scale for the Saints?
Drenched.
Again, it's really hard to sweep a team when you're playing them 3 times.
I don't think Drew Brees has anything left. So if I'm the Saints, I'm drenched because you have to win this game like 17-14 or something like that. I think they're going to carry Drew Brees as far as they can, but there's a reason these retirement rumors are circulating now, because boy, they might have to Old Yeller him before the season finishes.
I will say this. Does it give you any confidence that this is like the first time since like December of 2019 that Michael Thomas, Kamara, and Brees have all been healthy and on the roster together?
I mean, yeah, it certainly helps, but
I feel like every time the announcer says, Drew Brees can't really push the ball down the field, look for some of that short stuff, he like hits Emmanuel Sanders for like a 30-yard completion. And it's like every once in a while he uncorks one. And it's not often, but it feels almost enough to keep the defense honest.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. I am ready for playoff Brady. After seeing what he did to Washington, I'm ready to see him do that again to the Saints because I'm tired of the Saints bit. Put them in the same category for me as Clemson, just teams I would be happy to never hear about again.
Oh my gosh, such a hater. I genuinely, my heart is so filled when I see Kamara play because I was such a big Kamara stan when he was at Tennessee. So I'm fine with him advancing. Here's the deal, is that I feel so much more confident about Brady than Brees. And when it comes down to it, I'm playing a little bit devil's advocate here because I'm taking the Bucks. But when it comes down to it, I have a lot more confidence. As weird as that Bucks team has been, it feels like they're kind of on the same page now finally. And there's just so many different weapons. I know that they're playing the football team in the first round. But that's a good defense. And there's just still so many weapons. And they were pushing the ball down the field against them. They were able to figure out ways around that pass rush. I feel like they're hitting their stride at the right time, and they've been beaten a couple times by this Saints team. I think they're going to come out and throw the ball over the yard. It's too many guys. Antonio Brown, Godwin, Evans looked like he is doing fine after that scary knee injury in Week 17. They look fine. So I think this is going to be a little more of a shootout than I think you're anticipating, but I think they win this one. All right, let's hit up my so our first round of bets. We have over 57 Chiefs Browns. We're buying a point in the Ravens Bills game. We have plus 3.5 on the Ravens, and we're taking the Rams plus 7 or 6.5. Excuse me. My rollover bets. I'm taking the Bucks plus 140 for everything that I had on the Bills, which is
wow.
Let's look here. It's about 6 units. So,
oh my God. So then the Buccaneers, they're gonna lose like 38-10.
Hey, you know what? You don't lose what you don't lose what you don't put in the middle, but you can't win much either. So that's my first rollover bet. Lord help me. My second rollover bet, which is just that was the Saints. It's just a shade under 5 units. We'll call it 5 units.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm putting it on the Ravens plus 120.
Okay.
You thought I was going to go Rams, didn't you?
I did, and I was ready to hit end and just be like, "That's enough. That's enough for today."
Not a man enough. I like the defense. I like that defense. I like a team with some swagger to it too. All those old school teams had some swagger to it. The fact that they came out and stepped on the logo and then didn't shake hands afterwards. You know what? I understand sportsmanship, but there's also room for rivalries in sports.
So you like the Ravens defense, so you're a huge fan of Wink Martindale?
Yes, 100%. I'm a huge fan of anything that makes me think of the Seinfeld episode that's called The Wink, where George gets the grapefruit pulp in his eye and he's winking at the office and it's getting everyone else in trouble. Oh, yeah, have a great massage. Love it. Love it.
Dear God.
All right, so those are my rollover bets. That was exhausting. You want to spend 5 minutes on the NBA before we tease out some stuff?
Yes.
So some things happened. I don't know if you noticed this, but the Rockets added Victor Oladipo.
Can we, like, I was...
No. Actually, let's not. The most important part of this trade is that the Cleveland Cavaliers have yet again managed to grab another center.
There were so many pieces to this trade.
First of all, the White Whale 4-team trade in the NBA did not disappoint.
I could write a book about this.
Okay. You just go like this. Hold it in. I'm going to go over a quick couple points on this trade just to tell people who's on the rosters because the headline was obviously such a big deal. So here's what happened. First of all, there's a bunch of picks and pick swaps. I'm not going to get into all that. The Nets, yet again, dumped a bunch of picks. The Rockets got a bunch of picks back, which was crucial because they lost a lot of picks in that Westbrook trade. So here's basically what happened. Rockets get Oladipo. The Pacers get Karis LeVert. You have Jarrett Allen going to the Cavaliers, and you have James Harden going to the Nets. Again, there's a bunch of picks getting traded. There's other pieces. Those are the big names on the teams in the 4-team trade. Seth, go.
So we got Harden finally getting his wish after basically just giving up in Houston. And
that pass to John Wall that he almost threw out of bounds in the Lakers game was something else.
So you have that, and so your immediate thought is, okay, Houston is done. Like they're gonna jettison whatever, and they are taking a full step back. And so I see people reacting to a Shams tweet, and I assume it's the James Harden one. Where did it come from that the Pacers were even thinking about trading Victor Oladipo? Where did that come from?
Before the season with the Celtics, when they were trying to offload Hayward and they wanted Turner to be a part of that deal. The other side of this that I don't want to skip over is that the 76ers were legitimately in play for Harden for like half a day before he went to the Nets. And it sounds like Morey just got a little greedy on the picks.
Yeah, because he wanted to screw his former team.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, and he just doesn't want to give up a ton when you're losing Ben Simmons. You can make the argument it's a blue chip player for a blue chip player, although it's not quite the same caliber. They do very different things. Anyways, I want you to go through and give each one of these teams. We're going to grade each one of these teams. So let's go first, the Nets. What's your grade on this trade? We'll get to the Kyrie in a second.
Oh God. You gotta. So you have to view these trades as like right now.
Yeah.
So regardless of what the Nets gave up,
they do have some cap space now with all the pieces that moved, where they can sign. So they can sign like a mid-level exception guy, or they have like $5.7 million to spend on a couple pieces. They can grab some other pieces, but just right now, grade the trade.
I have to give it an A for the Nets because they now have assembled a 3-point shooting team when everyone is playing that might be greater than any of the Golden State Dynasty teams.
B-. Jared Allen is going to be a huge loss, I think, in the long run. B-. Because DeAndre Jordan's their only center on the roster right now. He was barely playing. Jared Allen was taking all of his minutes, And think about the teams they have to beat if they want to win the title. They have to beat the Bucks, which I get they've had some poor playoff performances, but that's still some big dudes. Nice to have Jarrett Allen there. Then you got to beat Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Big. I think that's going to be a bigger deal than people think. Cavs.
I don't know. Like, is Dan Gilbert like trolling at this point, or like what are we doing here?
Can I go to bat for a roster that has like a weird amount of young guys that I like?
Sure.
Because I'm gonna give it a B plus. Because there's already stuff about them moving Andre Drummond. So they're gonna move off of him. Here's the problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centers. They have 6 centers on this team on their roster right now.
Oh my god.
6 centers, which is a lot. But here's the thing: is I really like Sexland, that duo. I love Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen is such a good center. And I like some of I know that the off-the-court issues with Kevin Porter Jr., but I kind of like Kevin Porter Jr. Taurean Prince from Brooklyn also came over. Is going to be like a nice like 8th man. Larry Nance, not that bad. Has not played that bad the last year and a half. I like some of their young pieces. And yeah, they have a bad Kevin Love contract. And yeah, they got to get rid of Andre Drummond. But they get rid of him for maybe some swing guys. Not terrible. Fun team. Fun team that's going to, I think, age nicely over the next 3 seasons. I like that. Pacers.
I mean, if your goal was to try to get something back for Victor Oladipo, mission accomplished. Karis LeVert is something.
I love this move. I think they win the trade, honestly. I really do.
Wow.
Because Sabonis is awesome. Turner has played out of his mind. The trade rumors have lit a fire under his butt. He has played out of his mind. Brogdon is clearly the best player on this team, and Oladipo was not the same guy, mostly because Brogdon is the guy on that team now. Karis LeVert gives you scoring. They have nice 3-point shooting from the outside. I like the Holiday brothers have been playing well. They've got a solid roster. They've got like 7, 8 dudes on this roster, and they all fit. And I think Karis LeVert is going to be a nice spark off the bench for them, and he's going to give them some real scoring. And he has opened up his game a little bit when Kyrie was out to drive to the basket a little more. I mean, this is a dude who's had a 50-point game.
Yeah, and like half of that 50 points came within like a 2-minute span.
He's a real dude. I like this roster a lot, and I think it's only addition. I don't think you're losing a ton. I know Oladipo is a great player, but the roster changed a lot when he was out, and when he came back in, he was just not fitting. Even though he looked healthy, he was just not playing well. He wasn't fitting that roster. And so I think you're only adding to this roster by losing him, getting Karis LeVert in there. I love this trade for them. Finally, the Rockets. Very strange team. You have Boogie, you have Wall, you have Oladipo now, which, I mean, he seems healthy. Maybe you can find some of that spark from the other year where he was an all-star. CJ Wood has played really well. Very strange roster. It looks like PJ Tucker is going to get moved from them, but you have Eric Gordon. Weird roster. I'm going to give them, I guess, a B too, just because they got a bunch of picks back, and they somehow got an all-star potential guard, even though they moved off of James Harden and got a bunch of picks. It's never good when you're trading the best player in the trade.
No, you will never truly win a trade when you do that, because like, you know, you're taking that dollar bill and you're getting at most like
you're getting 4 quarters for the dollar.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's
C plus, B minus. I don't know. I guess you restack your cache of picks, although I don't know. I don't know what the pick swaps help. I don't know how much it's going to be awesome to have Brooklyn's pick, although Brooklyn has been in this situation before, so the picks could turn out to be awesome.
That kind of worked out all right the last time.
I'm not saying that old KG and Paul Pierce are the same as having Durant and James Harden, but it is funny that this team has done this twice now. Again, very different situations. Just funny that they've traded away all their picks twice in my lifetime.
It's like me playing
in the same 10-year span.
Yeah, it's like me playing 2K. Because I don't want to sit through the NBA draft in 2K, I just trade all the picks.
Trade all the picks. All right. To close out, here's the closeout. We're going to look at NBA title odds. Tots. I just need a hot toddy is what that means. NBA title odds. Caesar's Palace, I was tracking a couple places. Caesar's Palace, it jumped from 550 to plus 300 for the Nets, like right after the trade. Looking at Bovada today, you have the Lakers at plus 225. The Nets are right there at plus 275, right there with them. Then you have the Clippers plus 600, the Bucks plus 750, Celtics plus 1,800. Do you have the confidence to put money down on the Nets? Because the bet feels still to me like it's the Lakers. LeBron really feels like he's going for an MVP. I love that roster. They upgraded from after winning the title.
Substantially.
In a lot of positions.
Yeah, they substantially upgraded. I do not. Because what happened to Kyrie Irving?
What do you mean what happened? This is Kyrie Irving. This is who he is. As somebody who watched him just mail in a series of the playoffs after waiting for him to come back against the Bucks.
Oh, of course you're bitter.
This is who he is. This is who he is. Kyrie gets weird after 8 months. Unfortunately, he was awesome for 8 months, but Durant was out for the whole year.
Yeah.
And then Kyrie went down and didn't come back. And now it's just going to be weird Kyrie.
It's definitely weird Kyrie. Like he fell off the side of the earth.
Is there a version of Costco Harden that can play the way he did when he started out at Oklahoma City, where he's like cutting off the ball, going backdoor, running off screens?
Well, he's going to need to get into shape for the season.
If you're Durant, do you like buy him a Peloton bike when he lands in Brooklyn?
I've seen people suggest that he's wearing a fat suit.
I have seen that. And I gotta say, no chance.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I gotta say, I've heard about the wings at Magic City in Atlanta.
Oh man, great callback.
They're really good, is what I've been told. Some people go there only for the wings. And so if you're pounding baskets of Magic City wings for an entire summer, you probably put on some weight.
Some people go there for the wings. Some people go there for the other items on the menu.
The training.
Training.
We've had 2 NBA players get called out for being in Atlanta, and it's the wings and the training. This is just a healthy, well-fed city.
Atlanta apparently has it all.
Apparently.
We should start doing these odds from Atlanta.
I don't know. I was talking to a buddy about this today because I was trying to talk myself into Celtics winning the East. Not winning the title, just winning the East. Because Brown has been playing out of his mind. Tatum looks awesome. This team seems to have a really nice chemistry. I love Tristan Thompson. Peyton Pritchard, the point guard out of Oregon that they drafted, has been they've been able to supplement some Kemba for Kemba with just a rotation of guards. But I can't get out of my mind a healthy KD with the ball in the fourth quarter. Like if it's like a 2-possession game and KD's got the ball in the fourth quarter, I'm just terrified. I just am. And it doesn't matter who's around him. I'm just petrified because he's such an elite scorer. And so I don't know. I don't know. This team is weird, man. It'll depend. It'll really depend. I've already bet the Lakers to win. I'd probably take them again. I'm going to wait it out because if the Nets pick up a center that a bunch of people are like, oh, such an underrated grab for only $2 billion. Oh, that's such a steal. And it's just some old 38-year-old dude, and it switches, and all of a sudden the Nets are plus 250 to win the title and the Lakers are starting to creep up on 300. Just hold your money and bet it when the Nets pandemonium is at an absolute high. But I can't. I don't know. This team is weird.
I think the big thing that we are glossing over in this is that I found out that Boogie Cousins is refusing to get into on-court altercations now. Like,
yeah,
where
well, I mean,
where did that
you
come
get suspended, you can't.
Well, yeah, there is that.
He already has been tossed out of 2 games this season.
Oh, Boogie, never change.
I love him so much. I love that he just shrugged off the Morris. Morris is not a small dude. And Morris is one of the handful of the Morris brothers, the Morris twins, Marcus Smart. They're part of that class where it's like actual tough, not NBA tough, but actual tough. Where it is, if Marcus Morris wants to fight me in the back of an alley, I might die. Kind of
yeah,
tough.
like if you
shrugs it off like it didn't happen, like pretend it didn't happen. I love Boogie so much.
If you want to go down this road, you are entering a world of pain.
Boogie's a big dude. The drama of John Wall Boogie, although John Wall has been pretty even keeled this year. He seems to have really been locked into basketball. But the drama of Boogie, what?
And healthy, knock on wood.
Yes, I really love John Wall. I bought a lot of John Wall stock right before the Achilles injury, so I'm just holding on to that, hoping that it starts to climb. So yeah, I like that. It's gonna be a fun team. I don't know how many games I win, but it's gonna be a fun team. Yeah, I would say here's the thing though, is the X factor of if James Harden's super pumped about playing with KD, and he starts playing himself into shape, he buys into playing off ball, and all of a sudden you have James Harden and Kevin Durant accounting for like 60 points a game. I'll tell you this, it's not going to matter if Kyrie's on that team.
No.
I promise you that. Because then you got like Joe House, you got some nice pieces around them. It's not going to matter if Kyrie's on that team. It will be interesting to see how it plays out. There's also a version of this where that happens, and then Kyrie's like, oh, I want back in. And then he just totally destroys it.
He tanks the entire
thing.
There's
like 6 ways this could go, and one of them is good.
This is the Choose Your Own Adventure book, the Brooklyn Nets, and it's like,
but you only make it out of the forest on one adventure,
right? Like the rest of the time,
there's not like 3 adventures where it's just like, okay, so we got a house, we didn't make it all the way to the finish line, but we got a house, we got a family now. No, there's just like you either die horribly or you make it out.
Yeah, you are walking through and a tree falls out of nowhere and pins you and you bleed to death.
Yeah, and then the tree tells you the world is flat.
Yeah, pretty much every scenario other than the one where you happen to make it out.
Unbelievable. Okay. I think that's about it. I think that's
hockey season has started, but
we're a day in. We'll get to some hockey stuff next week.
Should probably have some sort of hockey tie since you're part of a hockey podcast network now, but that's okay.
Keep the ice cold.
As such, we are expanding the number of platforms that you can find Hit Me Again at. You can, of course, watch this on YouTube if you would prefer. Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon will be coming soon, Pandora. There are 20 of them. We'll be on all of them except TikTok. So.
No TikTok dances?
I'm not going to.
I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Oh, fine. Okay. Hit me again. We'll hit you up next week. Peace.